April 20th, 1889, in the small Austrian town of Braunau am Inn, a child was born who would become one of history's most destructive figures. Adolf Hitler entered the world as the fourth child of Alois Hitler, a customs official, and Clara Pölzl. As a young man, Hitler moved to Vienna with dreams of becoming an artist, but those dreams would be shattered. Twice rejected by the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, Hitler lived in poverty, his resentment growing. In the hostels and flophouses of Vienna, surrounded by the empire's diverse population, his worldview began to darken. When World War I erupted in 1914, Hitler enlisted in the Bavarian Reserve Infantry Regiment, finally finding purpose in the trenches of the Western Front. He served as a dispatch runner, a dangerous role that earned him the Iron Cross First Class, unusual for someone of his low rank. In 1918, temporarily blinded by a British gas attack, Hitler lay in a military hospital when Germany's defeat was announced. Germany's surrender devastated him. Like many Germans, he felt betrayed, humiliated by the Treaty of Versailles. In Munich, amid the chaos of revolution and counter-revolution, Hitler discovered his gift for public speaking and his hatred for those he blamed for Germany's defeat. In 1919, Hitler attended a meeting of the German Workers' Party, a small nationalist group that would become his vehicle to power. His mesmerizing speeches drew larger crowds. The German Workers' Party was transformed into the National Socialist German Workers' Party. By 1923, Hitler believed he was ready to seize power, inspired by Mussolini's March on Rome. On November 8, 1923, Hitler and his followers attempted to overthrow the Bavarian government in what became known as the Beer Hall Putsch. The putsch failed. 16 Nazis and 4 policemen died. Hitler was arrested, tried for treason, and sentenced to 5 years in prison. In Landsberg prison, Hitler wrote the first volume of Mein Kampf, outlining his racist ideology and plans for German expansion. Released after less than a year, Hitler rebuilt the Nazi Party. The Great Depression of 1929 provided the crisis he needed. Nazi electoral success grew from 2.6% in 1928 to becoming the largest party by 1932, exploiting economic despair and national humiliation. On January 30, 1933, President Hindenburg appointed Hitler as chancellor, believing they could control him. They were catastrophically wrong. The Reichstag fire on February 27, 1933, provided Hitler the pretext to suspend civil liberties and arrest political opponents. Books were burned, unions destroyed, political parties banned. Germany's democratic institutions crumbled with shocking speed. Propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels orchestrated massive rallies, creating a cult of personality around the Führer while spreading hatred against Jews and other minorities. On September 1, 1939, Hitler invaded Poland, unleashing World War II. His blitzkrieg tactics overwhelmed Polish defenses in weeks. France fell in 6 weeks. Hitler seemed unstoppable, master of continental Europe from the Atlantic to the Soviet border. In June 1941, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion in history, attacking his former ally, the Soviet Union. Behind the war's front lines, Hitler's regime implemented the Holocaust, the systematic murder of 6 million Jews and millions of other victims. This was not merely war, but genocide on an industrial scale, the darkest chapter in human history. The world would only fully comprehend the extent of these crimes when Allied forces liberated the camps in 1945. At Stalingrad, Hitler's armies met their match. The brutal winter battle became the turning point of the war. D-Day opened the second front Hitler had long feared. Germany now fought a war on multiple fronts it could not win. Allied bombers reduced German cities to rubble. The Third Reich that was supposed to last 1,000 years was crumbling. By April 1945, Soviet forces surrounded Berlin. The capital of the Third Reich lay in ruins, its streets filled with rubble and despair. Hitler retreated to his underground bunker beneath the Chancellery, cut off from reality, issuing impossible orders to non-existent armies. In those final days, as artillery shells fell above, Hitler married his longtime companion Eva Braun in a brief civil ceremony. On April 30, 1945, as Soviet forces closed in, Hitler and Eva Braun committed suicide in the bunker. The man who had promised to make Germany great again had instead brought it to total destruction, leaving behind a legacy of unprecedented evil. This is history we must never forget, a reminder of how quickly civilization can collapse when hatred and extremism go unchecked.